Hey everybody, welcome to another narrated video, Donnie's series of flying FPV. This particular flight was for the Department of Transportation. Paseo Del Norte is a large road in Albuquerque that's under construction right now. And so I was asked by a friend of mine to do some aerial footage of this project. For the possibility of maybe getting more work to the DOT. As you can see at the beginning of the flight here, I always do a course lock check. So that's why at the beginning of all my videos, you always see the quadcopter going kind of wacky. I'm just making sure the course lock is working correctly. Also, if you notice, I've got a lot of issues with the gimbal in this video. It shakes and it rattles and it does a bunch of crap. Fortunately, I was just taking still photos, so it wasn't a big deal. But I did change out the gimbal, and I did fix all of these issues. So, as you can see below me is the construction project. My objective, I launched from the north side of the project, and my objective was to go to the south side and climb to an altitude I had never climbed to before, very high. I had tried to shoot this project once before using the stock Phantom 1 transmitter, but unfortunately I kept getting out of range and it kept going into failsafe mode and trying to come home. So this flight was done with my DragonLink system, which of course is infinitely better than the stock system. As you can see, the video is just really breaking up, and the gimbal's going nuts. This is under full acceleration. For whatever reason, under full acceleration, the gimbal just went nuts. So you can imagine in my FPV goggles, it kind of looked like I was crashing. And that's what I thought was going on at first. And then, so when I stopped accelerating, the video would smooth out. So that led me to believe, okay, I'm not crashing. I'll just continue the mission. So then I tilted up and accelerated, thinking, well, maybe the gimbal's getting caught on something, maybe a wire was getting stuck on something, so I tilted up, but that obviously didn't help. So I tilted back down and continued accelerating and just didn't worry about the failing gimbal, because I knew once I leveled out that the gimbal would be still enough to capture still pictures. As you can see, I'm accelerating more and more. My previous flight, by my estimate, I was about 500 or 600 feet in the air. This flight, by my estimate, was at least double that. At least, I'm gonna say 1,500, maybe 2,000 feet. I mean, I just kept going up and up and up. I'm using my Zippy 3,000 milliamp hour battery, which seems to be about the best battery for the Phantom 1, at least my Phantom 1. If I start using larger batteries, I have a 3200 that doesn't do much better than the 3000. I think what happens is all the power benefits of the battery start to become negated by the extra weight of the battery. So here you can see we're pretty high, and actually, you know, if my gimbal hadn't been screwing up, I probably would have been going higher, but the gimbal problems just left me with a sour feeling in my gut, like of impending doom. Anyone who flies FPV knows what I'm talking about. You want everything to be perfect when you're flying FPV, especially when you're doing long distance stuff. I know I certainly wouldn't consider this long distance by any stretch. It's definitely for my Phantom quadcopter the farthest. At the time I took this video, this was the farthest I had flown it. As you can see, I did a little turn there to get the east end of the project into the frame. Originally, I had intended to fly up high enough to get the entire project in one frame, but because of the gimbal issues, I didn't fly up as high as I initially wanted to. That gimbal just freaking out like that was just really unnerving, and so I decided I didn't want to deal with that. So once I got all my photos, I decided to bring her on back home. I've gotten in the habit of stalling the motors, and here we are, we're in a stall right now. I just turn the motors off and let the quad free fall. This is a really great way of bringing the quad down really quickly. It's a method I use to save battery power, because I figure the quicker I get down, the better my chances are of not running out of battery power. And I think I do it again. I do another free fall. Yeah, here we go. That free fall looks kind of cool, huh? The camera nice and steady. So bring her back online. I actually came up with this free fall method by accident by pulling the stick back too far. With the new Futaba, I actually have a switch, a stall switch, so I no longer accidentally go into a free fall, which is great. Because after going into a free fall by accident like 3 or 4 times, I figured, well, I better do something about this. So you can see the gimbal is just doing all kinds of crap. It's horrible. But like I said, I replaced the gimbal, and the new gimbal is working just fine. I didn't replace the controller board, I just replaced the gimbal, the physical mechanical gimbal, and that seemed to fix the problem. That's my friend Todd spotting for me. I always have a spotter for many reasons. So I'm gonna I've been trying to land FPV lately. Oh, almost, he told me to watch out. He's the one who told me to watch out for that truck. Because you just can't tell, you know, when you're in FPV or in your own world. That's why it's always good to have a spotter. I surely would have hit that truck had it not been for Todd. Oh, looks like I wussed out. Yeah, looks like I'm just going to land it. There are many reasons for having a spotter. My spotter always looks for low-flying aircraft, because I certainly don't want to get in their way. Todd also has a battery monitor in his hand that vibrates when my battery reaches 3.7 volts, or the cells reach 3.7 volts. That's important. He also fields questions. They watch for cars, people who are going to hit me. Also watch my car to make sure nobody goes in there and steals anything. So yeah, it's a good idea to always have a spotter, so I always have one. So as you can see, we're getting ready to get into mission number 2. I'm doing my course lock, like I always do. And this is going to be a strafing run, I believe heading east towards the mountains. So here we are, I'm getting lined up. You can kind of see the whole construction site there. My objective again was to pull stills out of this, to not necessarily make a video. So the crapping out gimbal isn't a huge issue. I would normally consider this footage completely unusable. But again, taking still photos or grabbing frames, it was good enough. They were pretty clear. I have my Hero Pro, my Hero 3 programmed to take photos every 5 seconds. So it takes good high-resolution still photos every 5 seconds, as well as taking video. So now I'm reaching the end of the east end of the construction site, and you can see all the construction going on here for the exit or entrance to the interstate, obviously heading south. So I was losing FPV, and so I decided to gain some altitude to get my FPV back. And so there I am turning around. Now I'm a lot higher. I was trying a different antenna, and it wasn't working out as well. I have a 5-wind helical antenna that I like using. My 3-wind is my go-to antenna that I use 90% of the time. But this one time I decided to try the 5-wind, but the 5-wind, it's a narrower band, so you really have to be in line of sight. So I don't know if it's the 5-wind is to blame for this, or the fact that I've got a building between me and my quad, probably is what's to blame. But anyway, so here's a strafing run. I decided I was too high, so brought her down a little bit. At this point, I think I'm using my 2200 milliamp hour battery, which is the stock battery for the Phantom. And so I ran out of battery pretty quickly. I guess my quadcopter weighs about 1,300 grams without the battery, which I guess is kind of heavy because I don't seem to get the same battery life everyone else does. Or maybe the Territ gimbal just was pulling a lot of current because it was freaking out all the time, trying to self-correct. So I got to about here, and Todd says to me, this thing is vibrating. So that tells me that my individual cells had reached 3.7 volts, which usually gives me plenty of time to come back. So I decided to scrap going to the west end on this battery and bring her in and do a subsequent mission using another 2200 milliamp hour battery. I have 3 2200s that I actually loathe. They're terrible. I'm lucky if I get 3 or 4 minutes flight time out of those. Alright, so here we are for the third and final run of this mission, the strafing run heading west. As you can see at the beginning, the gimbal just freaks out like right away. So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm changing out this gimbal as soon as I get home, which I actually did the next day. Anyways, again, I'm on a 2200 milliamp hour battery. Right now doing my course lock check. And there you go. So course lock, I'm sure I'm in course lock mode right now, and then as soon as I get where I'm going here, I'm going to put it into standard mode. Alright, so I think I made it like 1 minute into this flight, and Todd told me that the warning was going off. And I refused to turn back. I said, you know what? Screw it. I don't care if I bubble the crap out of this battery. I'm going to finish this run. And you know, you're always worried that you're not going to have enough battery to make it back. But as you can see on the right side of the frame here, there's a whole bunch of parking lots and private buildings, and so I wasn't concerned. I knew I could pull off to the side and park and then drive over or run over to the quad and pick it up. So anyways, here's the west end of the Paseo Del Norte construction, and I was able to again grab plenty of still photos out of this. The still photos look great, even though the video looks like crap. Now heading back east, and like I said, at this point Todd did tell me really early on that his monitor was vibrating, so that I had reached 3.7 volts per cell, and that's under load, you know, moving forward and everything. So I figure, well, if it's under a load 3.7, then you know I got some time. So anyways, I think any second now I start losing altitude, because here we go, I'm losing altitude because the Phantom is trying to land itself because it's running out of battery. So I go full stick, as anybody who's run out of battery in a Phantom knows. It tries to land itself. So I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm not going to clear this tree. So I better go to the side. And then I've got these wires here. So I'm thinking, well, I better go under them. And Todd's going, hey, can you see those wires? I go, yeah, I can see those wires. So there's a fine line between getting low enough to get under those wires, which in retrospect was a bad decision. I should have just gone over the wires. And then Todd goes, oh, you almost hit that truck. I go, well, you know, that's what you're supposed to warn me about. So here I come on my last leg. Boom. Hit kind of hard. But And that's the end of that mission. No crashes. Woohoo! Thanks for listening. Have a good day.